North Carolina State Highway Patrol.
What cigarette do you smoke, Doctor?
A contributing factor to our juvenile delinquency of today.
Rock and roll has got to go.
And welcome back to the Hometown Holler. I'm Daniel Ayers.
And I'm Quinn Ray.
Well, hey, man.
What's up, dude?
So we're here at the studio again. It's pretty exciting. I feel like this is going to be an awesome episode. We're talking about public education again.
Yeah, and we're with the kids, the young folks.
Yeah, we've had a lot of state legislators. We've had teachers of the year. We've had a person who worked on Governor Cooper's education committee. Everybody coming in here talking about public education, public schools, and what's happening to them. But we missed a voice.
Yeah, we did. There was definitely an empty seat at the table. And about 2 or 3 months ago, we had a DM from a wonderful leader at Enloe High School who just kind of let us know that some of their students were being activists. We're going to school board meetings and advocating for better resources for our public schools and pretty cool clips. Like, went online, saw it. It was on YouTube. And these students, like, it takes a lot of courage to get up in a room full of surly adults and you know, proclaim your truth. And
I definitely wasn't doing that as a high school student.
For sure, dude. No, I wasn't doing anything that would like not allow me to play more Red Dead Redemption. That was
right. Anything that interferes with that.
Yeah, no. Okay. But these kids were really cool. I was really impressed. And so you and I talked, and we sent out kind of an inquiry, and they took us up on our offer to come on the Holler.
Yeah, this is exciting.
And so not only do we have 2 awesome young people here at the table, we have a whole room. We're not going to break the fourth wall, so those of you watching at home, like, you can't see who's here, but take our word for it. We have effectively an entire high school, right? Of a small high school.
Standing room only.
You're talking to a guy whose graduating class was 13 students in high school. So this,
I had like
qualifies.
199.
Yeah. I was going to make a joke about you had a 199 problems, but I don't know. There's nothing there. Nothing there. At least nothing that I could say and get away with it on this particular episode. But anyway, so you guys, should we just introduce our guest, right?
Yeah, I think so. We might as well just get into it.
Cool. So today with us, we have Ananya and Mahi. Students from Enloe High School, and they're here to talk about their activism, how they got involved in advocacy for public schools. Would love to hear you guys' just like thoughts on the state of our public schools today. What it would look like if our problems were solved. Maybe you tell us how to solve those problems. You know, if you could just give us a roadmap to utopia that in the next maybe next like 25 minutes.
That's a big question. Don't feel obligated to try to solve it.
That's all we expect from you. It's just a silver bullet solution to all of our problems as a society. But no, Ananya and Mahi, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Maybe we could start with you guys telling us a little bit about what are you currently up to? Like, tell us about your advocacy. Tell us about how you got into it, and just introduce folks a little bit to who you are and what you're about.
Okay. Thank you so much for having us on the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what we do, it's a lot of advocacy, and it's a lot of trying to like raise up student voices. Mm-hmm. So it's like getting student opinions on different things that are happening both in school legislature and like administration and things. So I got involved with it because I was really passionate about voting in schools. So like civic responsibility, learning about that. And I felt like a lot of kids didn't know about that, and we weren't taught much about it.
Were you always interested? And by the way, this is Ananya I'm chatting with right now. Yeah. For those of you listening who can't see us on the YouTube, had you always been passionate about voting?
Yeah, I was always a more like social studies type person, especially compared to math.
My kind of gal. This is awesome, Quinn. We're two history majors. Yep, that's right. So social studies, that's our jam.
Yeah, so it was like ever since I was in like elementary school. But more in like 9th grade, which is when I took civics, I was more involved in like voting and things like that. And then like the election in 2020, that was like gave me a lot of more clarity about like politics and stuff. Yeah. So that was kind of where it started. Yeah.
Even though you couldn't vote at the time, you were about it.
Yeah, I felt like I also have an older brother, so like he just got able to vote, but it was like there were a lot of older people around me and they were talking about politics and things like that. Yeah.
Sure.
So I got involved when we started our school's PTSA, and we started hearing about HB 10, so House Bill 10, which is giving money to private schools for vouchers. And then I started like planning how we could speak up against that. And so people like Ananya and other students went and spoke about it. And it started from there.
Yeah, HB 10 was a weird one.
Yeah.
I mean, one weird in the sense that it was
stealing money from public schools to go to private schools.
Yeah, it was also like a Frankenstein bill. There was like a bunch of stuff in that bill. It dealt with like immigration. It dealt with like school funding. It was definitely one of those things. I mean, people talk about politics like, passing laws is like making sausage, right? It's a nasty process to watch, and like all these weird bits get in there, and the final bill that you end up with is just a conglomeration of bad ideas. And HB 10 was kind of like that.
How'd y'all get to start hearing about HB 10? Like, where did that come across?
So NCPTA, they started advocating against that bill because it was obviously taking money away from public schools. And so we looked at that and we were like, okay, yeah, we can help with that. So we started advocating and speaking out against that as well.
And when you say speaking out against, is this your local school board you're speaking out against? Are you just posting stuff up on Instagram or X? Or what is speaking out against?
Well, one of the things we did is we had a walk-in at our school. So it was like before school, like 6:45 in the morning. And a lot of us rallied together, and we were in like our carpool loop. And different students talked about their experiences and why like funding might like help with that. And so that was a really powerful thing we did. And we posted about it online, like on social media and things. And then also we have student leaders who speak at Wake County board meetings. Like I went and spoke, and I know a lot of other students have.
A walk-in. That's actually a new one for me. I'm familiar with a walk-out, where you just like leave school and then I guess go home and play video games in my case. But to actually have a thing where it's like, no, we're gonna go to school. We're gonna congregate, have a demonstration. I guess you said in the carpool line.
Yeah.
Who organized that? Like, who was running point for that?
It was our PTSA, and I think.
Yeah, and so I know there were some teachers involved who are also involved with the PTSA, and then our coordinator, Miss Fingerson.
Who's here with us today?
Yes.
In the audience, in the gallery. At some point, you guys, it's like we're doing this like a sitcom, right? Like we have a live audience, and today you actually might hear some laughs and some gasps and everything in between.
Cool with it. Yeah. So what made you think of a walk-in? So when I first started running for public office, I took everything I kind of learned from my teachings of going to college and in high school about how...
Well, you were on student government, right?
I was on student government.
In fact, you can go on our YouTube and see like 14-year-old Quinn.
That's right.
DJing.
If it already sounds like I have cornbread in my teeth, that one really sounds like I got cornbread in my teeth.
You can win with Quinn.
That's right. But even there, right? Like, I didn't know what a protest really looked like other than from what we learned on during the civil rights movement, right? That's when I think of protest, that's like directly where my mind goes. So where did you learn about how to amplify your voice in such a manner?
I think a big thing for us, because of like the time we live in, like social media shows you so much. And so I definitely get a lot of ideas for advocacy about different things, like just in general from social media.
I think the walk-in, well, it's like you normally do a walkout, right? But like I don't think we can just walk out of school and not get suspended or so.
Sure.
Not with that attitude.
Yeah. So I guess meeting before school, like you're going to be there and it's like easier for everyone. And also like you'll have more people involved because people are able to come to school earlier and like participate.
So, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask, so how do we get from, there's this bill that is going to negatively impact you guys as North Carolina public school students. You become aware of it. You raise awareness kind of in your local school community. How did we get in front of the County Board of Education, the school board?
So those meetings are actually open to anyone to come. They're they're in Cary, I believe, and you can sign up to speak as well. So they have students, parents, and then teachers, I think, can also go. So yeah, so that's how we got the idea to speak there. So some students went and spoke.
So that idea was from you guys as students. Like an adult didn't come to you guys and say, "Hey, this is what you should be doing," or "This is."
I think our student volunteer coordinator helped us with that.
Oh, cool. Okay, cool. And was there just like a sign up sheet and people pass it around and said, "Yeah, I'll go talk"? Did you have to coerce people into doing it? Were there a lot of volunteers?
So I believe like we just made a Google form and had people sign up.
It's as simple as that, man.
And you didn't have to offer like free pizza. People just did it.
No, people just did it.
Like the hardest part was like beginning, like
Yeah.
starting to do that. So I know I was one of the first people, and so then it was really scary because students speak first at the things. They give students priority at the actual meeting. So I think
So you knew going in that you were going to be
The icebreaker.
yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was definitely something. But I think once a few students had gone and it was like a thing that we were doing, speaking at multiple board meetings, it was a lot easier for kids to want to sign up.
What were y'all trying to achieve? What's the end goal?
So this was before House Bill 10 was passed. So we wanted the Wake County Board to understand that we didn't, like, students didn't support the bill and our input and ideas on that bill. And we were hoping that we could probably get them to change their mind on passing the bill.
Yeah, and folks can go online. I mean, yeah, we can watch you guys go up and kind of lay out your case against this bill, and you guys do a great job. But I'm wondering, what was the feed? Was there any feedback? Did you guys have people come up to you afterwards and congratulate you? Did you have people come up and say, "We think that you're misguided young people who have been indoctrinated, and everything you're saying is, just."
The woke lamestream media
Right,
strikes.
the lamestream media. That's a new one for me. That's great. Yeah, I mean, what was the reception?
I think what most people said to me after, it was like surprising that young people wanted to go speak. So the whole like idea in general, it was a lot of like, I can't believe you did that. Luckily, no one was saying like, why did you do that? Like, don't do that.
Nobody was throwing shade.
No. But yeah, it was a lot of support and surprise. Yeah.
But then HB 10 passed, right?
Yeah.
And that didn't dampen your spirit. I mean, I'm obviously not thrilled about it, I would imagine. But you guys didn't throw in the towel and say like, well, we gave it a shot. No more activism.
I mean, it's already passed. We can't do anything about it, but we can keep advocating for more public school funding.
Say it again now.
So what would you say people should know who aren't really familiar with the state of public education in North Carolina right now? Like, what are some things somebody walks into this room and wants to kind of be brought up to speed? And you guys as student leaders, as advocates, you want to tell them what's up. What would you tell them?
I think that it's like our public schools are really like amazing places and they have really good results, but that's like in spite of the funding, not because of it. Like some people like show like achievements of our public schools, like how many AP courses or like the graduation rates and things like that. But that's because of our like amazing students and teachers and administrators, and who like, it's not because we have like infrastructure and like good funding for like teacher salaries and stuff.
That reminds me of something Dyson said last year when we chatted with him, which was just that amazing things are happening in our public schools every day, and it's because of what we would, I guess, adults would call the human resources. Yeah, but like the students, the teachers, the people who show up and devote their lives to building these communities all across our state. Because public schools are just, they're fully fledged communities, right? Yeah. From the bus driver and then the custodial staff all the way up to the principal. Everybody's hopefully pulling their weight and trying to create a place where people want to go 5 days a week. So so amazing things are happening.
You mean people aren't like wearing cat ears and using litter boxes in public schools and stuff?
But it's always us.
But really, right? Like,
it's funny you say that, because I actually like have I know a grown adult.
Right.
I was almost going to say grown ass man, but we can't say that.
I know many grown ass men.
But this guy was trying to persuade me that at Southern Alamance High School, that students were using litter boxes, and there are just so many things that are just demonstrably false with that statement, but like he really believes that. And I asked him, I was like, have you been inside of, like, when was the last time you were in a public high school? And he was like, well, I have a friend who knows the janitor. I'm like, no. Like, stop right there, right? So yeah, I do feel like a lot of people have really strong opinions about public schools. And the closest they've been in the public school in the past 20 years is like they saw an episode of Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
Like, do you guys get that? Like, do you feel like people are operating in the space of like delusion and not disconnected from what's actually happening on the ground?
Yeah. I feel like people don't know like completely what public schools are like. The teachers and the educators and everyone there is doing like more than what they're getting paid for, which is amazing because that's how we're succeeding and they're helping their students thrive. And then there's some things like the facilities that could be improved, but like I feel like some of the opinions on public schools are a little bit like harsh, or like you couldn't know those things if you didn't go to a public school.
What would you tell people that have that mindset that, you know, that our schools are just indoctrination centers, that they're just this woke liberal agenda?
Cesspools of socialism,
Yeah,
in the
like-
words of a former
Like, what do you want to
superintendent candidate.
What do you want to tell people that are happening in public schools?
It's just that, like, if you talk to people who go to public schools, there's so much diversity of thought. It's not an indoctrination center because then it's failing. Like, there's so many people who don't believe that. So it's like, if you actually spoke to people who were like closely tied to public schools, you would see that it's not.
I think one reason people might believe that is because like everyone in public schools, like people are allowed to have their own opinions, and they're allowed to speak about whatever they want to speak up about. So some people might think, oh, they're just like not behaving properly, but I think that's why we have public schools, so people can have their own opinions based on the facts that we are learning in school.
Yeah, I mean, that's a thing that you saying that made me think about, was that a lot of the folks that Quinn and I have interacted with who would say that, you know, you guys are exposed 5 days a week to like an indoctrination center, are folks who are advocating for bills like HB 10 that actually do fund indoctrination centers, right? Places where there is a very narrow, limited curriculum and a very specific, you know, way to discuss different educational topics. And if you don't take this curriculum or discuss it in this way, you can actually be expelled from that school, right? Yeah. So no, I really, really appreciate you guys sharing on that. Quinn, you look like you had a question.
I was just gonna, you know, ask the next question is, what would y'all say are the biggest challenges currently that your school, but in general, like public schools, are facing in North Carolina?
Too much homework.
That's definitely a problem. But lack of funding causes like a lot of problems. Like teachers and bus drivers are not getting paid enough by the NC legislature. So, like for example, Wake County has to supplement their salaries, which takes away from resources, like funding for resources and facilities.
Yeah. And it's like it really affects us a lot. And I know that it affects a lot of students because in my 9th grade year, my math teacher left 2 weeks into the school year. Wow. And then for a whole semester, we had like a series of substitutes. And then we had a long-term sub for a little bit, and then a few more. And then we finally got a teacher in the last semester. So it was like, at the moment, I was like, oh, this is fine. Like, at least I don't have math homework.
Right.
And this brings up kind of a vicious cycle that you and I, when we were preparing for our Michelle Morrow episode, we were talking with somebody who has spent their whole career in public education. And one of the things that, you know, you turn on the TV or you turn on the radio, you hear like some weird horror story of a teacher saying something that's like not okay or is inappropriate, you know, in a public school environment, a public school classroom, or teaching something that is not appropriate for that age group. But and that instance is oftentimes used to discredit public education in its entirety. But we were talking to Sky and we were like, well, you know, how do we respond when the person we're interviewing, Michelle Morrow, brings up that teacher in that classroom, that one county who said that one thing that one time? And he said, well, you should ask her, was the teacher who said that a state certified professional educator? Or was that person like pinch hitting? Were they a sub who had been there for 3 weeks and was like the last person on the call list of people who, they called a bunch of people and nobody could fill in for the teacher who left, right? Like it's like this vicious cycle where it's like our schools are underfunded, so we can't necessarily attract and keep the teachers we need. And so when teachers leave, the people who replace them, in some cases, can't do the job fully. And it's those people who become the poster kids whenever they make a mistake, the poster kids of a quote-unquote failing public school system, which just it's a self-reinforcing cycle.
Gross.
Yeah, gnarly.
So we've mentioned a bunch. Y'all have mentioned a bunch, the funding and like the lack of infrastructure, teacher turnover, not having bus drivers. And so North Carolina, we're roughly about 11,000-ish per student, per pupil from our state legislator.
So that's how much we spent. Like we spent about $11,000 per student,
roughly. Okay. But they just did an annual report from the Education Law Center that evaluates public schools funding nationwide. And they have here where North Carolina is 48th among states in funding level and 49th in funding effort. And
aren't there 50 states?
Well, there might be like 53 coming up now, right?
True.
But
watch out, Canada.
The ranking for funding effort takes into account a state's capacity to fund public schools. So it's based on its overall economy and tax base and stuff like that. So if NC public schools were funded properly, like how would having better facilities or better infrastructures help you learn in the classroom? So,
one thing is having better, more funding would, first of all, get us better resources. A lot of our resources are online right now, and most of our textbooks are worn out. Like, I think some of the textbooks in my school are like from the year I was born, which is kind of weird.
Wow.
They're really old. And
I don't want to ask what year you were born.
we have like a lot of online resources, and some kids, they don't have access to internet at home, so it's not like
That's a big one.
Yeah, it's not inclusive to all students, which I think should be changed. And then if you had better facilities like bathrooms, better bathrooms, cleaner bathrooms, and like ceiling tiles that don't fall out of the ceiling, it would be easier to study.
Wow, what a concept.
Yeah.
You got anything to add to that?
Just, in general, like the school environment, I think would be a lot more easy to succeed in because, like, especially issues with like temperature in schools, certain places will be like 10, 15, 20 degrees hotter than other classrooms, which is crazy when you're going from class to class. And then I can't like focus on actual work. So just helping like the environment for students in general.
Man, it seems so weird because, y'all talked about some of the beauties of public school and how much it's thriving and all the good things that are happening. And it feels like this like catch-22, like damned if we do, damned if we don't, because it feels like, the General Assembly is like, look, we have all these wonderful things happening in our public schools. They don't need any more funding. And you're like, you don't understand that we are scraping by. And just because we are awesome doesn't mean we don't deserve to be able to sit at a desk and not worry about a ceiling tile hitting us when we're taking our exam,
Yeah, I mean, the thing, the Rubik's Cube that I'm constantly trying to solve with this is, like,
it's like 3 turns to the right and to the left, and you can get.
You gotta get the green cross, and you get the corners. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out. I saw that on a YouTube video, and I was like,
I'm gonna figure this out.
Yeah, got it down to like 5 minutes. But I do think like you guys can vote, but I do think students not just play an important role in this, but you guys are like kind of the key because you guys are the corrective for all the lies, all the misinformation. Right, because like I can tell my friend or this guy like, no, pretty sure that the students at Southern Alamance are not using litter boxes, but I haven't been in a Southern high school classroom in years, like since driver's ed. Not gonna say how long ago that was, but it's been a minute. So like, it really is incumbent upon teachers, yes, but especially the young people, the students like you guys who are in the classes every day, and to like you guys have the awesome responsibility of like dispelling the litter box myth, right? And all the other myths. And I know that you guys are doing it, and you've got friends who are doing it, and some of them are in this room with us. but we've got like 1.5 million students in our public school system in North Carolina, K through 12.
Yeah, something like
It's
that.
almost like 1.5 million.
Yeah.
Like, how do we get all of those students, or at least like 50 of them, like some number of them, to do what you guys are doing and go to their local school board meeting, or just like hop on YouTube or Instagram and just 30 seconds be like, hey, this thing that you heard about, not true.
Yeah.
How do we do that?
So first, students will be passionate about speaking about something that matters to them, and so if like students see this as an issue that's important to them, they'll be able to speak out about it. And if they have support, like asking for help's not a bad thing. So if they're able to ask their school for support, or ask maybe their PTSA, their school PTSA for support, that would be helpful to them.
That's true, because you guys are really lucky in that you have a really strong support system at your school. Like, and the meetings we've had with your teachers, with Ms. Fife and Ms. Fingerson, like Quinn and I have been really impressed with how in low everybody supports each other. Students support adults, adults support students. I guess it's not every school necessarily we can't assume every school has that, but
Absolutely,
that does seem to be a really important piece of the puzzle. Yeah.
So how would you say your activism and stuff has like shaped your perspective on leadership, and what advice would you give to these other students that want to get involved?
Does it make you more or less likely to run for office?
I feel like more likely to run for office for me, just because I feel like it's kind of like inspirational, because a lot of times when you see things about students like this, especially on the news and stuff, it'll be like this one student did all this stuff and they like changed their school and their entire community, which is really intimidating. But when we're actually doing it, it's like we're not just here alone speaking. Like, we have a whole support system. So being a leader and like participating in activism for this kind of showed me that like it's a whole group, like, and we're creating maybe small changes that can turn into big changes, but it's not like just one person or two people doing everything.
And some advice for students who would like to do this is speak about something you're passionate about, something you think you can help change. And being a leader is not just about like planning meetings or doing stuff like that. Like, I think it's about like you're able to speak out for other students, and it gives you like a sense of responsibility because you're helping other people.
I also think another piece of this, and you guys do this really well, just like, you come here with the squad, you come here with your team, and like you guys seem to have a lot of fun together. Like, I think fun is a really important component, right? Like, I don't think you guys would do this if it wasn't fun on some level. I mean, you seem to be enjoying yourselves and not doing this as like a burden. So I think fun's an important component of any form of activism.
And I think you're learning something that took me a while to learn until my adulthood, is where, I thought change had to be made as being an elected official, or like I had to be old enough to vote to make any type of change. But realizing that it's not like changing your community or making an environment better for your fellow colleagues, students, that is moving that needle forward, right? That is something that I didn't understand until I started meeting leaders of organizations and people like you guys, because I was like, no, the only way we can get change is by making a policy to have it change.
So let's say that, this episode goes out to all the public schools in North Carolina, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, I want to be like Mahi and Ananya, and I want to, like take up the banner of public education and, just fight for the cause. And we do get the funding that our public schools deserve and are entitled to. I mean, Leandra plan, right? Like, these schools, the courts have ruled, like, we need to fund them. What do you think that looks like? What does it look like to have
Chick-fil-A
schools?
every day?
Quinn school's going to have Chick-fil-A every day. My school's going to have a Trader Joe's, like in the parking lot, so I can walk across the street and get my snacks.
Yeah.
But what does that look like, do you think?
I think the biggest change would be teachers. Like, we'd have enough teachers, and we'll have like teachers even when other teachers leave, because the county pays for supplementing their salaries, because teachers deserve to get paid more, and I'm glad the counties do like supplement their salaries. But if the county didn't have that like responsibility of increasing their salaries, they could focus it on more important issues that public schools are facing.
And just to add to that, because you're right, like, in Wake County, the state gives X amount of money and it doesn't cover the whole salary of a teacher, so the county has to step in and supplement it, right? How that could improve so many things beyond education if counties had more money for parks or for public services, right? Like,
Yeah, the county shouldn't be doing the state's responsibility.
No, and I'm thinking about all the counties in North Carolina that like aren't Wake County, aren't Mecklenburg County, like Orange County, like the counties that like don't have the money to supplement. That's just, Anyway, sorry, that was just the little brain dropping I had as you were talking. Go ahead, Ananya.
So it's just like, especially because so many other counties don't have as much money to like supplement teacher funds, there's so much like inequity. So at Enloe, we're really lucky because we have like 37 AP courses, and we're really encouraged to be in all of the programs and all of the AP courses and everything we can be in. But a lot of schools don't have as many AP courses or as many programs, and a lot of it is because we need more funding, because teachers need to have special training and all kinds of other stuff. So it's not just like, it's not equal. So that would change a lot. I think more students would have more opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, we know more opportunities definitely lead to more successes, right?
I feel like counties like would be able to focus on helping their students' mental health and maybe their physical health as well, because they could have like mental health programs to help students reduce their stress levels, which in high school is very common, I think.
Yeah, I mean, especially you guys dealt with the pandemic not that long ago. I mean, that was you guys, that was your generation, right? You guys had to go through the online classes. You guys had to deal with all that.
How many people are in y'all's classes now?
We have like 30-ish to like 40, between 30 and 40 kids per class.
Yeah.
So like one teacher teaching 40 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure one-on-one time and getting stuff broken down is really easy, right?
Yeah.
It happens.
You guys, we're coming up on time.
Yeah.
But you guys did your homework and came with a lot of facts and a lot of info. Is there anything that you want to share that we haven't gotten to yet? I don't want to let any of this great research go to waste. Is there anything that our questions haven't touched on that you feel like our listeners would be deprived if they didn't?
Just know the entire state listens to this, and every one of our representatives. So if there's anything you want to say to them, you can say it now.
This is our chance.
Yeah, this is your chance.
I would like to say something about House Bill 10.
Yeah.
So, I think one thing about House Bill 10 was that they said public schools are underfunded. Some people want to switch to private schools, but they don't have enough money to pay for it. So let's give them vouchers so they could go to private schools. What if the public schools were properly funded in the first place? Then maybe those students wouldn't want to switch to private schools. So, and also, there are 1,300,000 public school students and only 130,000 private school students. So I feel like that money that was given to private schools could have been better used if it was kept for public schools.
No doubt.
I would love to watch you say that to one of the school defunders, one of the people in our legislature. And I would love to see their reaction. Like, I don't know how I would respond to that, because that was just like, that was straight truth is what that was. Yeah. Anything, Ananya, that we didn't get to that you felt was particularly... No pressure. Again, just didn't want to let all this good research.
Yeah, I think we touched on everything, and yeah, just like we should be helping like the most students and like students who don't already have the ability to go to a private schools, because there's so many avenues, like by virtue of the fact that they're going to private schools, there's so many other avenues they have. So yeah.
You know, this is a suggestion on if you want to get into the activism on a topic. This is something that's just really been grinding my gears. So I'm involved with like the local chamber, and we know, North Carolina has a chamber, and they've started to get super political in ways.
Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce, yeah. Alamance, not so much.
Not a Chamber of Secrets for the Harry Potter fans. Very different chamber.
But they've all had their recent retreats and stuff, and we see it. And even our representatives here in Alamance County, one of them used to be on the chair of the Education Committee. The other one is like the chair of the Finance Committee on the House side. And they tout and how proud they are of the infrastructure. Right, because the infrastructure meaning water and sewer, They're like, we want to make sure we get water and sewer infrastructure so we can have be ready for these new businesses that are coming in, so it can be ready for these new condominiums that are coming in. And North Carolina is growing in population, but we need to start thinking about our public schools as that infrastructure. So it's cool that you have water going to this empty land. It's cool that you have a sewer going there ready to be developed. But until we start thinking of our public school as that type of infrastructure that is going to be needed, where's everybody going to go? And your 30 to 40 people classroom is going to turn into 50 or 60. And so I think that's one way to just start trying to push that needle, to get people to start thinking of schools, and not just the school infrastructure, but schools as infrastructure.
That's your next assignment.
I'm not giving you homework. I mean, we already heard we got a lot of homework over here.
But, again, you guys are already doing some pretty extraordinary things. It takes a lot of courage to do what you've done, to go up in front of a school board and let them know what's up. We appreciate you guys coming on the Holler. It takes, honestly, it took some degree of courage to come on a podcast with two guys you don't know and help the world know more about North Carolina schools and all the amazing things that are happening. So we appreciate it. We hope.
What grades are y'all in?
I'm in 9th grade.
I'm in 11th.
Oh, nice. Wow.
9th grade, and you're the president.
Yeah.
Man, that's
Making us all look bad. Both of you.
that's intense.
And thanks to your colleagues and your teammates who believe in the mission and took time on a 3-day weekend to come out and we're not like next door to Enloe. You guys had to drive kind of far, so we really appreciate it. And folks at home, we appreciate you listening. We hope that if you find the Hometown Holler, if you find what we're doing valuable, if you believe in our mission to build a better North Carolina, how many conversations at a time?
I think it's one.
One conversation at a time.
That's all you can do.
If you believe in our mission to build a better North Carolina, one conversation at a time, we hope that you will consider becoming a friend of the Holler at our Patreon at www.patreon.com/the Hometown Holler. You can help us keep the lights on, help us keep having great conversations like this, and keep making the content that we churn out on the YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and MyFace and all the other places where we are.
And where can people find you guys out?
So you can find us at Enloe PTSA Students, and our website is enloestudentleaders.weebly.com.
Yeah, that's on Instagram, the handle.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Instagram handle.
And what's next for you guys?
We're probably going to keep advocating for public schools, and we're going to work with our District 4 board member to get student input on policies.
Yeah.
So let us know whenever you guys, go to the next school board meeting or something. Let's send us that video, and we'll put it on our socials and let more folks know about what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You want to see if anybody out there has any questions or want to say anything?
That's true, from the gallery. Yeah. Audience.
Our next board is tomorrow night, and Sohan's doing it.
Oh, nice.
We've already got 2
Sohan.
students already. Yep,
Sohan, how you feeling about that? You ready?
Yeah, I'm
Sorry.
You pointed him. I was
I
like,
pointed the wrong one.
you're okay. But you're feeling good about it?
yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, we'll look forward to seeing that.
Yeah, that'll be on the 21st.
Yeah, cell phone policy.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, which is very interesting.
Yeah, that would be, after this recording, we should talk. I want to hear your thoughts about the cell phone policy. Got a lot of feelings about it myself.
Well, this is fun. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for
so
listening,
much.
everybody. And we'll catch y'all on another episode of the Hometown Holler next week.
Yeah, man.